your attention, we'll go ahead and call our city council meeting to order. It's good to see everyone here this evening. This is what we call our regular council meeting. All of the items that we'll be voting on this evening have all been discussed at our previous workshop. So do know that we have vetted all of these items and we'll be making final decisions this evening. In calling the meeting to order, the first item on our agenda is our prayer, and I'm going to call on Vice Mayor Wes Ellers to deliver our prayer for us, please. Wes.
Will you pray with me? Lord, we thank you for all that you have gifted us, from the food that we eat, the lives that we live, and our loved ones near and far away. We ask that you please put your guiding hand over us and help us all to live our days with thankful hearts and loving ways. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Wes. At this time, I'd like to call on a special guest. Mr. Tyler Horn is going to help us with our Pledge of Allegiance. Tyler's with the Boy Scout group. Tyler?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tyler. All right, next, council, we have an approval of the agenda, and for those, if you'd like a copy of the agenda, they are on the table in the back, but I'll take a motion to that effect when we have any changes.
So moved. Second.
We have motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the January 16th council meeting, the January 21st council retreat, and the February 5th council workshop. And those were in our packets.
So moved.
All right, so second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have citizen input, and I have one Mr. Nick Gladden, who's going to come and tell us about our special guest tonight. Nick, let you come up to the podium here.
Hello, my name is Nick Gladden. I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 62 here in Tifton at First Methodist. And with me tonight, I brought 5 of our scouts that are currently working on their Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge. And this will fulfill their last requirement where they learn about city government and community involvement. And that's to attend a city council meeting to learn more about their government and see it in action. So thank you for having us tonight.
Well, very good. We're very glad to have you, gentlemen. So if you have any questions during the process, you just let us know, okay? And thank you again, Tyler, for leading us in the pledge. All right, gentlemen, on our agenda, we have the consent agenda. And again, these are all items that we have worked on at the workshop and discussed thoroughly. We can take these one at a time, or we can take the entire consent agenda, whatever's your pleasure.
I move we approve all as a group.
Okay. Items 1 through 8. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Councilman. We have motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Our next item is relating to our ordinances, and earlier this evening we did have a public hearing concerning the reclassification of certain lots, and Houston and Danny, I guess you need to present any further information on that, or unless the council has any questions. Does anyone need any other questions answered on those items? Did you want to say something?
Yep, Mayor, there's 2.
Yeah. Do we need to take those together or individually?
I take them individually.
Probably individually.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is requesting modification. That's that planned unit overlay. Those were for Mr. Buckner, if you'll recall. All right, so we'll vote on that one first.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the next item does relate to the public hearing that we had a few minutes ago on those site design standards and amending the minimum gross square footage area, building locations, and lot area and width. Any questions on that presentation that we just received?
One question. Does this lift, if we vote on this and it passes, does this lift the moratorium as well?
I'm sorry.
If we pass this ordinance here, does it lift the moratorium as well?
It is, if you look, you should have the revised ordinance that I did this morning. It's in the repealer portion of the ordinance, specifically repeals the 2018-04 ordinance in its entirety, which is the moratorium.
Okay.
So the short answer is yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. sorry. Is there any further discussion? Trying to be smooth with them. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, under other business, we have discussion of the memorandum of understanding for the funding of the Henry Tifton Myers Airport. That memorandum is in your packet. It's at the very end of our packet starts on page 70. Pete, do you have any input you want to share with us?
Thank you. Yeah, Mayor and Council, this MOU has been in place for a couple of years now, and as you know, we're undergoing service delivery discussions. This particular memorandum states that the agreement, if there's any changes or if you elect to terminate this funding, that we need to give 4 months notice. So what you have before you is talking about the airport itself, talking about the $50,000 that the city provides to the airport for its operational funding, and that is the decision that has to be made. And I will say that in the spirit of service delivery, there is something that we do need to talk further with the county on, and for whatever reason it was moved, the airport was moved into a enterprise fund. What we have is an intergovernmental agreement in the past when the airport was an authority. So it's two different things. Enterprise fund is to make money. Authority is to govern this particular operational aspect of the airport itself. So again, this is part of service delivery, but if you want the change, if we want to terminate this, then we have to give 4 months notice accordingly. And if I can, I'd like to ask Wayne to come forward real quick. He has some specifics about the budgets, and this is really, you need to know this just the same when we talk about the airport, things about what we're telling you an enterprise fund or the authority itself. And I'd like Wayne just to touch about the high points of what we're looking at, so you have full knowledge of what we are.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I went back and was looking at the financial statements from fiscal year in 15, 16. Also looked at the county's budget worksheets they had for their fiscal year in 18 budget, but it had their year-to-date actual numbers through June 22nd of 2017. And I looked at the airport, and here's some highlights I wanted to share with you, and also looked at the auditor's trial balances that we had gotten off an open records request. First thing is, in fiscal year in 15, they had total fuel sales $337,000. Their fuel costs were $316,000.
I'm sorry, can you repeat those? I was writing this down.
Okay,
Repeat
total
those.
fuel sales $337,863 is the total.
Okay.
Their fuel cost $316,815. I left the net margin of only $21,048. That's less than that's 6% margin on that much. They also had other expenses out there. Well, first of all, other revenues. They had rental income of $52,777. They got $35,000 from the city, from the Development Authority, and also the county's general fund. At the same time, with other expenditures, they had over $109,000 of salaries. They had rent of a building. I'm assuming they were renting some hangars of just under $18,000. They had credit card fees of just under $7,500. They had telephone internet service out there for $14,745. They were showing a loss in 15 of $37,333. The county also had lent money to that enterprise fund of $90,000 in 2015, and was still due back to the general fund at that year end.
And that money was loaned from the county's
General fund over to the enterprise fund.
Okay.
When I looked at the balance sheet at the end of the year, this is an enterprise fund. Enterprise funds are kept on full accrual basis. We have several of those. You would expect to see several things, especially on the balance sheet, like receivables, inventory, if it was out there. I didn't see any receivables of any form, including from their credit card company, which you would think there would be a time frame. There would be a float there from what credit card sales came in, and then what was when they received it. Saw no inventory of fuel. I have a hard time believing they had zero fuel on June 30th in any of their tanks out there if it's open and operational. So it looks to me the fuel was kept on a cash basis, not accrual basis, full accrual. Because when you look at 2016 numbers, total fuel sales was $310,673, but their costs were only $207,046. The margin jumped to $103,000, which tells me that they had to have some inventory in the year at June 30, 15. I don't think the fuel prices dropped that much in 15 to 16 for fuel for aviation fuel. They still had some rent income out there. In 16, they got $50,000 from both the city, the county's general fund, and development authority. They still had rent of some buildings out there, which they had credit card fees of over almost $9,500. They had even higher expenditure for their telephone and internet to over $16,000. Salaries of over $13,000. So whoever was working there got a raise that year. But prior year, they were showing a loss, and they were still wanting support from the development authority and the city to prop it up. They actually showed the income in that particular fund in 16 of $34,229. And they had paid down the amount due to the county general fund down to $79,607. That was on, and that's, you can find that number in their audited financial statements in 15 and 16. When I roll into 2017, this is where I got the numbers from their budget worksheets. They were showing jet fuel sales of $323,000 through June 22nd of 2017. Fuel costs of $241,000 with a margin of $81,880. So all of a sudden, I mean, it's fluctuating. I know fuel prices change, but it's no inventory at the end of June 2016, no receivables either. I don't have the 17 financials to know if there's any inventory on the books at the end of June 30th, 17. But they still got $50,000 in 17 from the city, the county's general fund, the DA, and the development authority. They still had their rent of the $17,009. They had credit card fees through that day of $6,200. They still had over $10,000 of telephone and internet costs. Salaries were over $113,000. At that point in time, that report was showing a loss of $84,000.
Thank you, Wayne. Thanks. And I think the point is, Mayor and Council, is there's a lot of details behind it. Again, we're not here to say the county's doing anything wrong, but when we talk about providing funds for operational expenses, this is what we look at. This is what make sure that you have the information that we can share. So again, this is not about right or wrong. The airport's a great asset for the county, and again, going into service delivery, we need to make sure. So I'd probably just end this with telling you that if you do want to proceed with funding, and if you want to request that it be an authority, of course, the enterprise fund, you could do that. But if you do not want to fund it, just the same, that is your decision. So I'll turn it over to you.
While we're having this conversation, let me share with you what the Development Authority chose to do, because they are also part of this agreement. The Development Authority, Tift County Development Authority, did meet Thursday afternoon, and this was on their agenda as well. I can tell you that the chairman of the county commission basically threatened to shut the airport down if the County Development Authority did not fund it. You can make out of that whatever you want to make out of that. That's part of the records of the meeting. The County Development Authority did choose at the end of the day to fund it. And I want to make clear, like you said, Pete, nobody disputes the fact that the airport is an important part of this community, and it does add a layer for economic development. It adds a layer for people coming in. There's having an airport in Tift County is very beneficial, but we have to be very mindful about how we fund that airport as city residents with city residents' taxpayer dollars. It's your decision, but I don't want there to be any misunderstanding that the city doesn't support the airport. We do support the airport, but we have to be very protective of the taxpayer dollars that we're in charge of. So that being said, the County Development Authority did choose to fund the program, but let me tell you how that vote went down. The motion was made to fund it. The motion was seconded by the chairman, by Chairman Thompson, who was also the chairman of the Development Authority, and it was a tied vote. There were two that voted not to fund it and two that voted to fund it. According to the attorney who represents the Development Authority, Mark Sandifer, it's his interpretation that when there's a tie vote in a situation like that, no action is deemed to have been changed. His interpretation was therefore no actions being taken, therefore the County Development Authority will fund the airport, and that's what they chose to do. So,
Well, let's also be clear that when the county puts $50,000 from the general fund to the airport,
we are paying.
every resident that lives in Tift County is paying for the airport. When the city, in turn, puts $50,000, whether it be general fund, whether it be hotel, motel, whatever it is, then the residents of the city of Tifton are paying again. I railed about it, and I'll rail about it again. Why are the citizens of Tifton paying twice? And as long as I'm on this council, I'm not gonna vote for the city of Tifton residents to pay twice. The airport is a county-wide function. It should be supported. I'm totally in favor of that. But it should be paid for out of the county general fund, where all residents of the county pay for it. We're not gonna burden the city of Tifton residents for the airport. There's no reason for that, and I'm totally opposed to continuing that funding.
My question is, should we be funding a county enterprise fund rather than authority? I mean,
The
enterprise
answer's
fund.
no.
And we shouldn't be, so. In that situation, we shouldn't do it unless it is an authority, we shouldn't even consider it.
Right. I don't disagree.
If it's an authority, I'm still voting against the city giving any more money.
Well, it is,
Either one.
it was a separate authority, it was taken under the umbrella of the county, it is now a county department and an enterprise fund. And, so that's the way that it stands today. So we have a decision to make. We do need to give notice if we're choosing not to fund, so we'll need to vote on that. Or if we are choosing to fund, we need to give notice either way, because if we don't give notice, then the agreement automatically renews and we'll be obligated to provide that $50,000.
Mayor and Council, just,
Yes.
certainly the contract, the MOU does provide that we're required to give them 4 months' notice should we decide not to continue under that memorandum of understanding.
Right.
As Pete alluded to, we are in the process of service delivery negotiations with the county. And of course, the airport is one of those items that will be looked at. And the funding of the airport will be looked at. So even though we may give notice to the county that we are terminating the memorandum of understanding, that does not in itself say that there will not be funding of some sort, either through the
Sure.
county general fund, but those things will be looked at over the next 3 or 4 months as we're working through this. But as I said, I think it's important, in order to not get stuck for another year of the funding, go ahead and give the notice that we no longer want to be under the memorandum of understanding, and then through the next couple of months, kind of see where we are, and through our negotiations with the county and the proper way of funding the airport.
Okay.
Where that being said, I move we notify the county we will not be renewing the memorandum of understanding.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the city manager report. Steve, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. First item I'd like to share with you, and I left a copy at your seat. This was in yesterday's paper, the call for special election. Again, I have not received any notification on this, so this is the first time I've seen it too, but this actually is the ballot for May's special election, and this is for the T-Splosh. So just I wanted you to see the language, and I had to read it carefully 3 times. Obviously ballot language is somewhat confusing too, but I want to make sure you knew it's live in the community. I have not, again, I haven't heard anything from the county on this particular matter, nor do I know if anybody is marketing it like the Chamber would supply. So you know just as much as I do. So just FYI.
So this notice is just the call for the election. It doesn't have to notify the public of what the potential projects are if it's approved?
The regional commission, they had a public hearing, and
Right.
I don't know where that went. I don't remember seeing it in the newspaper, but they did the
Right.
public hearing with all the transportation projects, and they covered that appropriately. So again, I don't know any more than that.
Okay.
Okay. Second item, the jail. Also, I left a note or a letter from Major Danny Torres that we received today about, again, the service delivery. You're going to hear a lot about this, that the jail contract is going to be reworked, and the chief and the sheriff will be talking about specifics come April, and they will obviously keep us posted if there's any changes or any new items that we need to bring to your attention. Thirdly, at your table, I'd left the budget calendar for this coming year, and I failed to insert right around the March timeframe to have the Finance Committee interject and look at that. So somewhere between March 20th and April 5th, Wayne and Karen and I will insert that somewhere based off your schedules, and we'll be able to tuck that in when we have a document. But we are off to the races with the budget, and really anxious to get started with this year's numbers. And I'd like to call on Jonathan. I don't know if he's in the back. Here he comes. This really is a proud moment for you, I think the city of Tifton, and the city as a whole, that Jonathan informed me today that we are actually live with our BSNA software. And we set a timetable in March to succeed, to get there. This is a massive, massive undertaking because of how outdated and the transfer of files, et cetera. And I'd like Jonathan to give a kind of a quick overview of what's going on and if we could expect anything.
So the biggest thing is we went live with probably the last module, which is utility billing today. As of about 4 o'clock or so this afternoon, we started taking payments in the new system. There's one last piece, and it's a minor piece that kind of deals with getting information from the landfill into it. But as far as taking payments, finance, say general ledger, accounts payable, purchase orders, it's all in BSNA as of this afternoon. So we're still working out some bugs and some little things, but we went live with utility billing this afternoon. The only major change that you may particularly hear that also incurs any credit card transactions now have a credit card transaction fee that is from the credit card companies that is being charged directly to the customers when they pay their bill with a credit card. Is now being assessed anywhere that they take a credit card transaction. So we've got probably another month or so of trainers on staff or from the company here to help train and get through all the bugs, and we're still going out to certain locations, but we started taking payments as of 4 o'clock in the new software.
So, we're going to detail these out to what it means, what our capabilities will be, from electronic to texts to emails to cell phones. We're going to hopefully step up that a lot, and this is just a big undertaking for the city, and I want to commend Jonathan for all his efforts, because this is pretty huge.
So did we notify the customer that they're going to be charged now for using the
We've
credit
posted.
card? Are we just taking the credit card and they're going to get charged?
It is, we do have flyers
We've
up
posted.
at all locations, and on bills, water bills should have notes that state if you pay with credit card transactions, there is a fee now.
So is there some kind of, I get the notification and my bill comes due 7 days later. I don't have any other, I might not have enough time to make another option if I decide I don't want to be charged that fee. Is that, you know what I'm saying?
What
I
is
have
the
30
fee? Is it
days.
just a nominal fee? Is it just a couple of dollars? Is it, what is the fee, do you know?
$2.95. And that's,
Which to
tends-
some people, $2.95 is $2.95.
Right, it's really, you use your credit card
It's a convenience fee,
anywhere,
basically,
you're
is what-
paying that fee. So it's really coming from the credit card companies and as the electronic moves. But again, we need to work the bugs out and obviously we're not gonna shut anybody off, or if there's a fee issue, we probably have to have a few months to obviously go through that. But as we talked about last year, it's just one of those things that we need to work on and see how, if we have any backlash on it. But certainly deadlines and things like that, we're gonna continue to work on that.
we do have some advanced features coming online that we did not have before. When we get online payments, which online payments right at the moment is still shut down, that will allow automated payment directly from your bank. So you would not have to incur a credit card transaction if you pay online. You can pay e-check, so you have some other options as well online, where you would not be forced to pay the fee.
Have we worked out the aspect of notification if a bill is late? It may have slipped someone's mind, or they thought they mailed it and they hadn't, or something.
We are working on that as well. That is available in the new system where we can give more notifications.
Right.
So we can do emails, we can do texting, we can
Excellent.
do all of that as well in the new system. Again, not
That's
necessarily
coming, yeah,
all set up and all functioning at this moment, but it is in the process.
excellent, very good, okay,
And it'll take a while to grab that information as
Sure.
people come in.
okay.
Okay, and then lastly, again, that's
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. Service delivery, I've reached out again to the county manager, requesting the next service delivery meeting date, last week.
And our deadline is next month?
Well, we probably need to be well into it by first part of May. So we're closing in 2 months pretty rapidly. So we need to keep this moving. I have not heard back from him regarding that, so I want to keep you posted because obviously the time is most important, but as we continue to talk about the aspects of service delivery, it is going to take some discussions, and obviously I don't want to have special call meetings all the time to bring you up to speed, so I'm trying to, get some dates, at least we could have the committee to meet again, talk about where we are, etc. And so if we continue to stall with that, I'm going to communicate with you, and obviously the sooner we could get it to the public for explanations, the sooner we could get the information in a detailed manner where we understand totally what we're talking about, the better. And I'll just impress upon you that if you have any desires to do it differently, and with the time lapse, that if you could help me achieve that, that'd be greatly appreciated. So I'll keep you posted just as I get the information.
We met on the 7th, and he committed to getting back to you at the end of the following week, which was the 16th.
Right.
You talking about Jim Carter?
Jim Carter
Yeah.
committed then. He said, I'll get back to you at the end of the next week, at the latest. Here we sit on the 19th.
I have not heard back. And again, this is really important stuff, and I want to make sure
Yeah.
that not only you are well informed, but we owe it to the public. So this is not seen as it's not a fight, a city and county thing again, but this is about the city of Tifton and services and how we're doing things with respect to taxes and service and efficiencies, and hopefully not duplication of services. So very, very important stuff, and I'm ready when you are.
Well, hopefully we're not gonna get backed into some kind of corner. The worst position to be in when you're trying to work through these situations is on a time crunch. And, I had forgotten that he did say, you're right, he did say that. He would get back with us. I think everyone understood the time was of the essence, and we had a lot of discussion to be had, and, we just got the very tip of the iceberg in that meeting that we were in, so,
If you hadn't heard by Wednesday, would you send an email to the entire county commission and to all of us? And with that
Reiterating.
request? I mean, I'm tired of this. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
well,
Certainly not.
the same thing happened when we, were trying to work together on the fire station, and
Same
we
thing,
couldn't get a
just
response, and
ignoring
it just,
responses.
it just, It's just
Certainly.
not a good position to be in, so.
And I think the next decision you have to make, if you're ready to give our position to the public, we could do it through PowerPoint, and we could at least start the communication outward, so.
Okay.
Okay.
But I agree with Jack. I think if we haven't heard anything by Wednesday, if you could handle that
Absolutely.
and just copy all of us. And, I think it would be important that we each reach out to our counterparts on the county commission and let them know we're not getting a response, and, they represent us too. So
That'd
we
be
need
fine.
their help.
All right, that's
Okay.
all I have. Thank
Can I
you.
ask a quick question? Back to the sheriff's letter, is there a time when, which we think we'll get, what this new agreement's gonna look like, so that we have time to decide what our options are?
You know, talking with the chief, he feels pretty confident by April 1st.
April 1st?
We should have some kind of detail, what's gonna change, what are the figures, and again, we're in the background doing some statistic updates and comparing some different facts that we need to know. So I would think within the month of March, we should have something by the end.
Okay. Any other questions before we adjourn? All right, what we'll do, I do think we need to go into executive session. So if I could have a motion concerning going into executive session for personnel matters, and then we'll take about a 5-minute break and then open our executive session.
So moved.
All right, so motion second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. The meeting is adjourned.